Meghan Markle is not a star. In fact, according to a Democratic strategist from California, she is in the minor ranks. Ooh, ouch. That is the ultimate blow to Meghan Markle's ego because she has strived for years now, almost a decade, since meeting Prince Harry to be as famous as possible, as wealthy as possible, and as influential as she can possibly be. But according to people within her own state and seemingly her own party, she's sort of a minor rank. And what is really interesting is that there's this recent Telegraph article which appears to really be about the breakdown of the relationship between Harry and Meghan and Oprah Winfrey, which I do think is true. I don't think they're that friendly anymore. But what's interesting here is that it's not really about that at the end of the day. If you go down through the article, what you find out is that it's really a takedown of Meghan and how much of a disaster she has been in Hollywood and in California in general. And they're all aware of it. They're all incredibly aware of it. And they're watching this disaster and I think kind of laughing at her. And she has nobody to blame but herself. And this absolute burn of a quote, in addition to saying, well, Meghan Markle is either loved or hated, there's really no in between, spells disaster for her, especially as she is going to launch American Riviera Orchard at some point and is in desperate need of consumers. And honestly, I think at this point, her consumer base is only probably about 20% of the population because she has already offended so many people and continues to do so. So we will break down this article today. But if you guys haven't been to Royal News Network before, hello, my name is Brittany. I provide compelling real commentary. So if you guys want to hit that subscribe button, I would absolutely love to have you back. We have an amazing, amazing, fun time here. And I do want to give a shout out to Ana Lucia Diamonds. As you can see, my gorgeous cross necklace here. This is one of my favorite things. Actually, Catherine, the Princess of Wales, has a necklace like this that she wore to Trooping the Colors and a couple other things. And I just absolutely love it. I think it's a classic, elegant piece. Ana Lucia creates lab-created diamonds. You can get a great piece of jewelry for a fabulous price. So if you guys want to check that out, I will put a link in up above. And if you use code Braille20, you shall save 20%. And it's Christmas is coming up. I know it's like a while away, but it's like only 3 months. So if you want to get a head start and find some amazing deals, Ana Lucia is definitely the way to go. My earring studs that you will see here are theirs as well. These are the 2 carats. I think these are probably like 25.25, not 25.25 carats. And so if you guys are interested in these two, they are on the website. So guys, when I first saw this original article, which I showed you earlier, is actually on the front page of the Telegraph right now. I was initially thinking it was just about the breakdown of this relationship between Harry and Meghan and Oprah Winfrey, which I was planning to do a video on because I don't actually think they're all that friendly anymore. Because Harry and Meghan were such absolute train wrecks with their interview with her. She ended up coming out of that interview terribly, and so did they. And so I think the relationship has somewhat soured. Also, because I think what Meghan Markle does is she kind of tries to sponge off people who are higher up in the food chain than she is. And what happens is at some point they kind of sort of get sick of it because they're like, okay, we got what we want from you, and you keep asking us for stuff, but you're not reciprocating. And so we can't really move forward. And I think that's kind of what happened with Harry and Meghan. Maybe they asked a bit one too many times to borrow Oprah Winfrey's private jet because that's what they seem to do, is try to get friendly with people with private jets. Now, I understand that because I'm sure that's comforting, but other people are like, at some point, it's like, shouldn't you be able to afford your own private jet? I think they just mooch maybe sometimes a bit too much. But that actually wasn't what this article was about. It's not what it's about at all. Now, it discusses some of these things that Harry and Meghan weren't on this event for Oprah Winfrey, which makes sense because Harry and Meghan, of course, have recently stated that they're going to remain politically neutral. But of course, we all know that's not really the case. But when you get down through here, kind of goes over who else was there and how Oprah was obviously somebody who was at their wedding, why Harry and Meghan don't want to engage on these issues. But when you keep getting down here, it talks interestingly. First of all, as you get down to the page, the conversation that Meghan had with Gavin Newsom with Harry close by now. And I want to point this out. Meghan, again, is the married in royal. Harry is the actual blood royal. That matters. Blood in royal families doesn't matter. If you are blood related to the royal family, you matter more than the person who's not. So even though Meghan is technically an American citizen, it make a bit more sense for her to speak to Gavin Newsom in some ways. It's like, were they trying to talk about as this understands what it means to have a member of the royal family in California and discussing like security and logistics. And I just want to reemphasize this is kind of a nonsensical, pointless discussion. Again, Harry and Meghan think they are so much more important than they actually are. They are no different than anybody else in California. There are people who have billions who live in California, people who are worth millions more than they are in California. They're not really these huge targets they think they are. Yes, the paparazzi will be a fact of life. And I thought it was funny that Harry was like videotaping the paparazzi. I need to do a video on that too. Videotaping the paparazzi as they left Tyler Perry's house. And I'm like, Harry, if you didn't want paparazzi, don't live in Southern California and be in the entertainment industry. It's not that hard. It's pretty obvious. Pretty obvious. Like, live anywhere else in the country, you won't have to deal with that. Shocking, right? Shocking. Who knew? But Meghan knew because Meghan always has wanted this. And I think also she does have some political ambitions, no matter how much she tries to deflect that. And so she definitely wants to cozy up to powerful people in the entertainment industry and politics, all these sorts of things. And so it's rather silly for them to be so worried about security and logistics because it's like, you guys are private citizens now. You're on your own. Nobody else gets this kind of treatment. They like need to get off their high horse. And then as you keep going down, they talk about, of course, the registration thing and how talking about how is their staff who did it. I was like, well, if it's your staff doing it, they don't have to promote it because promoting it on your website basically tells all of us you were part of it too. Again, I can't remember if it was this side or something else, but I think it was. The statement was not issued directly by the couple, but their foundation. But the foundation represents them. They are the foundation. Like, you can't separate them. So again, this is really absolutely ridiculous. It's like, if you don't want to be seen as political, then tell your staff they can participate and do a volunteer event, but don't post about it when the organization you're working with leans left and obviously has a political bias. Because if you say you're neutral, yet your organization is working with another organization that has a political bias, then it just doesn't work. And then it gets further down here and it talks about what happened in 2020. But this is where I want to focus on because it kind of switches from Harry and Meghan to really talking about Meghan in this scenario. So it starts off with here, the Duchess had moved on to 4 years ago. It seemed like the world that she and her prince were taking on the royal family, setting up an alternative House of Windsor on the West Coast. The couple has made a hasty Mexit to escape the attentions of the British press and public, feeling unloved by the rest of the royal family. Aw, my heart breaks for you. Number one, this is just silly. Feeling unloved. They didn't feel unloved. Meghan just couldn't be queen. That was really her issue. That was really, at the end of the day, her issue is that she couldn't be queen. And she did have to abide by the pecking order, which is Captain Obvious in every single royal family. So, like we said, it shifts then to talking about her business. And I feel like there's some subtle shade here and some subtle pointing out that this thing is not working. So it says the Duchess now has her own business interests to pursue. So she's not really interested in the royal thing anymore. Or is she, because she's using her title? Because it says American Riviera Orchard by Meghan, the Duchess of Sussex. And it says, and the couple need to make money to pay for their lifestyle that includes hugely expensive around-the-clock security that the British taxpayer no longer funds. So they need a lot of money. They need a successful business, and American Riviera Orchard seems to be one of their best bets. That's what this is saying. So they need an extreme amount of money because they're not getting their stuff funded by the taxpayers anymore. So this is a serious issue. And it says her American Riviera Orchard brand soft launched this summer, which is incorrect. It soft launched in the spring. In March 14th, we're over 6 months now since American Riviera Orchard launched. 6 months. 6 months of jam, dog biscuits, and nothing except for random stories. It's so bad. And again, they definitely need to change the season. It says, we'll promote a domestic ideal through the sale of everything from jams, cutlery, nut butters, to placemats and cookbooks. But it doesn't have anything yet. It doesn't have anything. So how can she make buku bucks through jams, cutlery, nut and butters, placemats, and cookbooks? She's not going to make that much through that. And so far, this brand has been a flop. It's been a flop, and it continues to be a flop until she has product. Until she has product, like, what is it? It's nothing. So it goes down here. And this is where I think the true destruction of Meghan Markle's ego begins. It says, "It is possible that in trying to make the business venture work, the last thing the Duchess would want to do is appear divisive by backing one political party over another," which is wrong. She already is divisive. She's an incredibly divisive figure, and she's done nothing to amend that. If she could launch her brand correctly, maybe. But I was actually thinking about doing a video on this, and you look at Mary-Kate and Ashley Olsen and the Row, the clothing brand they started in 2006. The clothing industry is an incredibly competitive industry. It is very hard to gain space in that industry, and they are dealing in luxury, like high-end luxury. They're kind of really the starters of, you could say, the quiet luxury trend, because that is their brand, is sort of minimalist, very tailored. That is sort of the iconic reflection of the Row. But they've recently gotten quite a few investors, including Chanel, the woman who runs Modus Operandi, Lauren Santo Domingo, who is part of a hugely influential and powerful family from Colombia. In fact, it is her sister-in-law, Tatiana Santo Domingo, who is married into the Monaco royal family, somebody from L'Oreal, and I think one other. So there's four, all major hitters in the fashion industry. And they did that by hard work, and they hardly ever feature themselves. They are rarely featured as part of the fashion brand. They even have an Instagram where it's mostly about art. They have completely built this brand from nothing, just building it on reputation and good products. Harry and Meghan don't have a good product. In fact, the first thing Ashley Olsen was looking for, which is sort of the impetus for the brand, is she wanted to create the perfect t-shirt for women. That was her goal. And that is how the brand started in many ways. They had more things when they launched, but that's how they started. Now they have these massive and heavy hitters within the fashion industry supporting their brand and being financial investors into it. I guess apparently these new investors have 40%. Ashley and Mary Kate still hold 60% of the company. They are hugely influential figures. And they've done that by actually not drawing on their own fame from Full House. They're very, very private. They're not too flashy. They pretty much just go to the fashion award ceremonies. I can't remember what it's called, but that's pretty much what they go to every year. Other than that, they really don't go to any entertainment industry events. And Meghan Markle, again, she has this huge brand she needs to sell, and she doesn't have any buyers, and she doesn't really have any products. Like, she has nothing to sell at this point. And this is all reflecting in the fact that not only is Meghan Markle sort of failing, seems like within the entertainment industry in California itself, there's not a lot of love there for Meghan. And again, I find this so funny that it's a lot of it's focused on Meghan. So it says, and then there's a distinct possibility that the Democrats just don't want the Sussexes' support. The Duchess, again, not Harry, her, she's a problem. She's the problematic element, is a figure who is both loved and hated. In a tight election, Ms. Harris cannot afford to lose voters, however unlikely that it might be as a consequence of an endorsement from the California exiles. And then there's this from a Democratic strategist in California who knows the governor and the party machine there. With all due respect to Meghan Markle, not Duchess Meghan, not the Duchess of Sussex, not Meghan, the Duchess of Sussex, Meghan Markle. Not a lot of respect there. Not a lot of respect there. Said the source. Given the star power we have in California, she's kind of in the minor ranks of them, to be honest. Ouch. And you feel that. Ouch. That's pretty bad. And it's true. She is in the minor leagues. She's a minor star. Yes, she has this notoriety. But when you look at what stars are, I feel like stars are people that everybody can kind of get around, that everybody can kind of sort of support. And a lot of people just tend to generally like. There's even been a lot of stories you could say recently about sort of the death of the movie star, because it used to be that you just had to have somebody's name attached to a movie to get people to watch it. But that's really not the case anymore. It's more about the IP, the intellectual property, so the franchise or what have you, that gets people to the seats. And I think that is factoring into Meghan as well here, because she is not liked. And none of the Hollywood crowd really likes her, I don't think. And they also see somebody who's a failure in many ways. She's failed as a royal. She sort of failed as an actress. Yes, she had one successful show, but she really wasn't doing much. Then you have the failure of their post-Mex, like losing Spotify. Spotify, she can't even do a podcast. She can't do a podcast. And then you have the thing of, well, she can't do her American Riviera Orchard show and do a podcast at the same time. And most of these people in Hollywood had 3 or 4 projects in the oven going at the same time. And this woman can't do more than one at the same time. And then you have that, well, American Riviera Orchard is just basically a play off what so many other people have done. Nobody knows what it is. Nobody knows why she started it. I mean, essentially, she started it because she needs money and that's it. Like, that's the sole reason behind American Riviera Orchard. And then you just have it sitting there. And you got to think too that the Hollywood stars who got it, now there were 50 jars of strawberry jam. We only saw a handful, maybe at the most 10, but I think it was more like 8 or something. And some of them, like Kris Jenner, like she just did a quick Instagram story. Some of them did actual posts, like Chrissy Teigen actually did a better job marketing Meghan Markle's brand than Meghan Markle did, because Meghan Markle is not even doing any marketing. And so as time goes on, the longer it goes between when she set the jam and when the product to everyone is launching, they're all watching her fail. They are aware of the failure. And in Hollywood, it's kind of like in some areas of sport, luck kind of matters. And they don't really want an unlucky person. They don't want somebody who's kind of in the midst of a disaster. And that really is where Meghan is. Again, I find it fascinating that they really focused on her on the end, not Harry, because Harry's not doing really any better. But he doesn't really have anything either. To everyone, she was sort of the brains of the operation, and he was just going along for the ride. And then as we get to the end, everything started falling apart. And everybody's looking at them going, "What are you guys gonna do? What are you guys gonna do?" And they don't have anything. Again, it's 3 months till Christmas. And as far as we're aware, we haven't heard anything that American Riviera Orchard is even close to launching. It's not even close, I don't think. How is she gonna get stuff ready for Christmas? If she doesn't have stuff for Christmas, I mean, that's the biggest marketing, branding push of the year is Christmas. Like, we're in the fall season already. She should already be hitting the ground running. This is a time where people are nesting, redecorating, all these sorts of things, and she has nothing. And none of Hollywood really wants to mess with her anymore. They're kind of tired of it. They see somebody who is grifting, but not really getting results. And this election is important to many people, and they're like, "You know what? We don't need that energy with us. So guys, stay as far away as possible." Harry has a better likability than she does for sure. Even here in the States, even in the UK, everyone likes Harry more than they like her. And she either can't seem to get that, or she just keeps going along hoping things will change, but she can never seem to right the ship. So Meghan has a big problem going forwards. Can she fix it? That I don't know, because that's going to take a lot of work. And I think she can get there, but at the same time, I'm not entirely sure. So guys, let me know what you think of this video. Let me know what you think of Meghan Markle and this interesting failure she has and how she is in the minor leagues, apparently. I have to imagine that it's the biggest blow to Meghan's ego, because she desperately wants to be accepted by these people. She desperately, desperately wants to be accepted by them. And they're rejecting her because they don't really want her, and they don't really want her failure rubbing off on them. So guys, let me know again what you think. Thank you so much for watching, and I shall see you soon. Bye.